Supercoach 360.
Supercoach 360. Animation.
Supercoach 360 podcast.
First cab off the rank, Origin planning.
Yeah.
Right now, so my question is, with Origin and with Origin planning, do you have to do it? Right?
Con?
You can go, mate.
Okay, well, I think you do, at least, you do. You do have to a little bit, because you don't want to get left with, like, no players come Origin time, come the bye time. If you're heavily littered with Origin players and you haven't focused on the buys, you can lose a lot of people and be playing with eight players, and that can topple you out of the ranks. Whereas if you've planned for this, you can realistically take 13 or 14 into both games, I think. I think last year there was a game where it was more heavily stacked to take into the first game, and a lot of people loaded right up. But I think by the time you came around to that second game, there was a lot of injuries. People went down and the plans went out the window and people got left high and dry. So I do think planning is crucial. You don't have to plan from day one. Like Origin is round 13. You have a lot of time to pick and choose your side. You know, if you catch my drift, like you will have Origin players in your side. Otherwise, you will get left behind from the start. And then it's a matter of picking which Origin players do you let go of during that period. A lot of the blokes get a rest. They play reduced minutes, which sometimes it's a good ploy to get some players out and bring them back after Origin and the buys, and they had a little bit of a rest through that period, and they're strong for the run home and a little bit cheaper. And you haven't copped the hit of points. You've jumped on someone a bit stronger or a bit more solid. So I personally do plan for Origin. I'm probably not this year going to go as heavy as I have at the start of the year where I have before. Like in past years, I've loaded up from game one with Origin. Like I've looked way too deep into Origin, and then by the time Origin comes around, I've had these people go up and down, and I lose their money where I should have sold them and moved them along. Do you know what I mean? Like I shouldn't have hung on to these people, and I've only hung on because of Origin. And it's those sort of things where come round 6 or 7 where I should have moved them on, cashed in, upgraded and done whatnot else, you haven't done, and then they just malinger around your side. And I think there was a bloke, I can't remember, from Canberra last year who I hung on to for Origin, and he just didn't even play. It was one of them things, like, and wasted all the upgrades with his money, you know. And so, yeah, I think Origin planning is a crucial thing, especially if you're in the hunt for overall. Head-to-head, not so as important, I don't think. I think you can take your hits because everyone's going to cop a bit of a hit for Origin. But if you're playing overall for the big money, I think Origin plan is crucial to your success.
What about you, Con? How do you feel about Origin planning?
I think it does play a part. I don't know if it's the biggest thing. Head to head, I wouldn't care too much about it, as long as I was in a strong position going into it and confident coming out of it. Overall, as long as I guess you do have to do a little bit of planning for it. It's hard not to do any at all and try and stay competitive, like Berg said. It's impossible. Yeah, I gave it some really good thought, and I couldn't come up with much against overall for Origin planning, and you have to do it like Berg said. It's crucial, but I think head-to-head you can get away not so much.
Well, you can. You honestly can get away with not planning.
Well, you can just just start with a couple like you will anyway, and then just maybe bring in 3 the week before, and
yeah,
because a lot of people don't plan for it as well if they're playing head-to-head.
Yeah. Well, you expect. I think that's where you plan for your hits through the Origin period, especially if you've started well with head-to-heads. Then you definitely gain a bit more, a bit more of a mindset of where you can cop a hit.
That's it. If you start 4-0 or 5-0,
yeah, you can definitely cop a hit if you're playing head-to-head glory only. You can cop the hit through Origin because you've already got those wins under the belt. Whereas if you start off a bit like a
you
a
lose your
4 and
first
1,
three or
1
something,
and
yeah.
4, then you might want to start looking at changing your team a bit earlier because you're not doing well. Like, you got to make changes early, but yeah. Again, sometimes the race isn't at the start as well. You've got to make your money over those opening
definitely.
rounds. So, granted, it's good to walk in with a team, but you don't want to start with so many nuffs on the bench for the sake of having a solid 13, 17. You're better off having the one nuff if you're going to start with a nuff if you do, rather than littering your team with nuffs, if you know what I mean, from game one. Like, I've heard people with the strategy of 3-4 nuffs from the start.
I think the only way...
That's crazy.
Do you consider him enough if you're looking to never fill that position, like you would be at the end of the season when they're nuffed for good? Or do you look at him in the same light as a cheapie that is on the horizon, is going to get a run, the Sam Walker of last year, you know what I mean? Like, someone who you know is going to come in, Payne Haas in his rookie year, someone who you know is coming into that side eventually. It's just a matter of the when and the where.
Have you heard of any this year so far?
But you are asking the wrong person.
Normally you would have heard of one by now.
Well, there's been pretty much 2 years with no reserve grade, so it's hard to know what's coming through exactly.
Well, that's true too. Like, and that's the other thing I heard. I can't remember. I think it might have been on the Champions podcast with Wilfred and that's why the cheapies are a little bit inflated, because we don't have Reggie, so they're getting blooded in them round 23, 24, 25 games. And getting a couple of starts, so they're $220,000. You know,
not
what
the
I mean?
bottom dollar
That's
like
right.
we used to.
Them 40, 50 grand's crucial to the
Yeah,
if you
They add up.
That's
3 or
it,
4
4
of
or
them.
5 there. That's right.
And that was the thing I took from the Champions podcast today. I was listening because our friend Timmy was on there.
Oh, Timmy O.
Hey,
Tim Moody.
Oh, Tim
Timmy.
Moody.
Yeah.
Shout out, Timmy. How you doing, buddy?
He's last year's champ. I've got to hear what he's doing.
Yeah, of course. He wrote an article for the telly. Any you guys read it yet?
No, fuck the telly.
Yeah, well, let's see how to pay for it. But Timmy, send us the article.
In saying that, Sangster's not as bad as we all make out. He's all right.
All right, fair enoch.
Say good day now. Nah, don't.
Makes you cook.
Supercoach 360 podcast.